What if Deku had the Omnitrix's power? Hey everyone, welcome back to Nothing But Anime. This is part 1 of the What If Deku Had the Omnitrix's Power series. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Now let's dive right in. Men are not born equally. I learned that when I was 4 years old. In my world, about 80% for the population has an uncanny ability called a quirk, with 20% being quirkless. I was one of those 20%. As a child, I often looked to the night sky and I always wondered if there were most planets and people out in the universe than us, like if there are other life forms out there, and if so, do they look to the stars as well and wonder the same question? I got the answer to my question later in life. My journey started to find that answer started when I was 14 years old on a beach after I was done training. What I didn't know that my life was about to change in a big way on that day. This is the story of how I not only become the world's greatest hero but the universe's as well. We see a young short 14-year-old boy sitting on sand by the shore with his head facing upwards as staring into who has a round face framed by a short mess of fluffy dark green hair which sticks up at odd angles around his head, casting noticeably dark shadows onto itself. He has large eyes and are somewhat circular. Their irises the same green color as his hair and are usually stretched quite wide, giving him an innocent appearance. He has a set of 4 symmetrical freckles in diamond formations, 1 on each cheek, but despite these prominent traits, he is often described by other people as being plain-looking. The name of this young boy is Izuku Midoriya, and we find him on a junk and trash-filled beach named Dagabo Beach, wearing a white t-shirt with the lettering saying T-shirt, a pair of black shorts with 1 pocket on the sides of both his leg, which at the brim stopped at his knees. He was also wearing a pair of oversized red sneakers. You see, about 9 months ago Izuku was classified as quirkless. You see, in his world about 80% of the total population had an uncanny mutation in the DNA which lead people to have an ability which spread rapidly across the world. Their ability was called as quirks. Unfortunately, there were born without powers and they were classified as quirkless. They would never have the ability to gain or manifest a power of themselves. Now, throughout his whole life, Izuku has dreamt of becoming a hero so that he can save people with a smile on his face, just like his hero. The number 1 hero, All Might. But when he found out that he was quirkless, his dreams were shattered but not fully broken, as he never gave up. Throughout his school career from kindergarten to middle school, Izuku was picked on and bullied by others for not having a quirk like them, but he was bullied more often by his former best friend turned bully, Katsuki Bakugo, who has a powerful quirk called Explosion. He downgraded Izuku on a daily basis and even made a nickname for the green-haired teen when they were 5 years old. The nickname is Deku, meaning by his words, defenseless Izuku or useless Izuku. For years Izuku just took all the beatings, the teases and downgrading from others, just trying to prove that you don't need a quirk to be a hero. Then all that changed on that fateful day. Izuku was on his way to his house after another horrible day at school after the teacher told everyone in his class that his was applying to UA High School. S/N. You guys know what UA is, so I'm not going to write or describe UA because it'd be too much writing. And that got a threat from Bakugo to not apply for UA High, as he wanted to be the only student from their school to be accepted to UA. And after a suicide suggestion from the Explosion boy, Izuku was ambushed by a villain who quirk which transformed his body to a slug form, which allows he to take over other people's bodies. His plan was to take over Izuku's body to use it for his evil plans, but before he could complete his plan, he was stopped by someone who delivered a powerful punch which destroyed the slug villain and freed the helpless boy. Izuku saw a glimpse of his savoir before passing out. After a few minutes for being passed out, Izuku woke up to see that All Might was the one who saved him. After making sure that the young man was safe, after All Might said his thanks to the green-haired boy for his support and make sure that he gets home safe, All Might took to the skies after a massive jump, but he saw that Izuku was holding his leg for dear life. He took both for them a roof of a tall building so he can put the fanboy down safely, but what he didn't expect that the green-haired boy was quirkless and that he wanted to be a hero even without a quirk. After that declaration, All Might's true form was revealed to Izuku, and All Might told him without a quirk he couldn't be a hero. A/N. The same way like in the canon, and the confiscation went the same way as well. After that, Izuku was depressed more than ever and was thinking about calling it quits to his hero dream when he saw something horrible. His childhood friend/bully Katsuki was being held hostage by the same villain who tried to take over his body from earlier. After putting 2 and 2 together and realizing that it was his fault that this happened, he rushed in to save his childhood friend/bully from danger. A/N. Same way like in the canon. After being saved once again from the slug villain by All Might and got finished scolded by the pro heroes for charging in head first without thinking while Bakugo was getting praised by the crowd for being brave during the whole ordeal. /N. Really? Brave, if what I saw he was scared and Izuku was the brave one for trying to save he while not have anything to help him. Sometime I just wonder about humans intelligent dudes. And while Izuku was walking home Bakugo called to him and told him that he didn't need his help and he was handling it just fine without his useless help. /N. Cough, bullshit cough, and left. Izuku continued his walk home only to be stopped by All Might and to him that Izuku was worthy of his quirk. All Might explained what his quirk is and that he was looking for his successor and that his successor was Izuku. Izuku accepted the offer and Toshinori Yagi. /N. He revealed his real name to Izuku after that. And cause I'm getting tired for typing All Might like all the time, even I have my breaking point, told him to meet him at Dagobah Beach to begin his training. We returned to Dagobah Beach where Izuku is sitting by the shore of the almost clean beach. For the past 9 months Toshi was training Izuku's body so that it can handle it without have the boy blow up from the sheer power by having the future one for all user clean the trash-filled beach by himself. Izuku trained for months on end and was almost done with it seeing that he had exactly 1 month left before the entrance exam. Izuku was finished with his training for the day and Toshi left about 5 minutes ago and told Izuku to go home and rest up, but Izuku decided to stay for a while and think for a plan for the exam. Unaware to him or anyone on Earth, there was a battle in outer space near the Earth's orbit between 2 spaceships. One small blue one and one big orange one were battling and the big one was winning while the small one was taking damage. Inside the big ship, at the bridge there were people sitting at different stations with monitors, some showing the small ship and some showing the ship stats. Sitting in a large chair, sat a humanoid creature with a face resembling that of an octopus. He has tentacles dangling in the front of his face, like a beard. His skin is pale green with yellowish spots on his face and tentacles. He doesn't have a nose and a visible ear. He has red eyes. He wore a black and red-brownish armored suit and gloves. His armor is spiked at the shoulder and arm pads. He has green sacs on the sides of his head. His mouth was attached to the sacs by a respirator. One of the humanoid's robot went to the squid humanoid and begun to speak. Hull damage 20%, but the system's still operational. Then the squid humanoid stood up and stared to the monitor show the blue ship. I've came too far to be denied. The Omnitrix shall be mine, and there is not a being that dares stand in my way, said the humanoid squid. Meanwhile, on Earth, Izuku suddenly sneezes and felt a chill going down his spine. He looks around and starts to think. Maybe Kaken is talking about me again. Izuku gets up and starts to take a stroll down the shore while watching the waves crashing. Back in the squid's ship attacking the other ship, the robot from earlier reported back to his master. Their propulsion system have been destroyed, while the humanoid just nodded and said, "Prepare to board. I want the Omnitrix now." As he finished saying that, the smaller ship fired a powerful blast that went to the bridge and caused an explosion which destroyed the occupants in the room and severely injured the squid, but one robot which was damaged from the blast pushed a button which fired a big blast to the small ship, destroying most of the ship except the front of it. Just as the front of the ship started to be pulled into Earth's gravity, a pod was shot out of the ship, and as the pod was plummeting to the Earth's surface, the pod split into 2 parts to reveal a small metal ball plummeting straight down to Earth, specifically Japan. Back with Izuku. Izuku was just walking slowly down the beach with his shoes off and think on how to deal with the exams and training and on how to tell his mom on how he got a quirk. Oh, how was he going to explain that part to his whole family? Ah man, this is tough. Oh, mom is going to worry about me too much. Sighs, I really wish that nothing gets worse. As he then looks up to the sky which has some stars out, he then notices a light going down rapidly with a line trailing behind it. Wow, a shooting star. But as soon he said that, the star came straight down to where he was. Izuku soon realizes this, starts to run in the opposite direction and jumps and hides behind a refrigerator as the object crashes to the ground. After a few seconds after the crash, Izuku pops his head from his hiding spot to see what nearly killed him. He gets up and starts walking to the object that was now in a huge crater that was created from the impact. Izuku looks down to the center of the crater to find a large glowing red metal ball with smoke coming off it. What is that? Is it a satellite of something? Asked Izuku to nobody in particular. After the ball stopped glowing and smoking, the ground under his feet broke apart and he fell down into the crater closer to the object. Izuku winced in pain from the fell. Ah man, that is gonna hurt in the morning. He gets up and rubs his back to minimize the pain. He looks at the object to find that it's a metal ball the size of a basketball. He stares at it for a second when suddenly the ball retracted the top half of itself and opens up to show what was inside. Inside the object, a green glow came out of it. A watch. Why would a watch be doing in outer space? Izuku looks at the ball when the green glow starts to light brighter to reveal a device that resembles a wristwatch. Its faceplate was square and has a white and green color scheme. The faceplate is black with 2 green stripes forming an outline for an hourglass. /N. It's the Omnitrix from Omniverse, but I decided to add some new features to it, so expect some new changes to it. Also, I'll change the form of the Omnitrix later when Izuku receives one of all. Izuku just stares at the device in awe before his curiosity got the best of him as he reaches for the device with his left hand. Before Izuku could take the device said something in a robotic voice. Tennyson DNA scanned and located. Prepare DNA attachment lock. And jumps from the ball and latches itself on Izuku's left wrist so fast that Izuku couldn't stop it. DNA attachment lock complete. Playlist 1 online and ready to be used. Izuku jumps from the sudden action and is scared from the watch and started to freak out. Ah! Get off of me! Get off! Shouted Izuku as he tries to take the watch off his wrist but fails as the watch seemed to not even budge from his wrist. Izuku climbs out the crater and starts to look around the junk that was still on the beach. He sees an old crowbar and grabs it, hoping that with it he can get this thing off him. He places his left wrist on the fridge that he hid behind a few minutes before and sticks the crowbar under the watch and beings to poke under it and hopes the action would loosen it grab on his wrist. But to his complete shock and surprise, the crowbar snapped in half while the watch was unscratched. In his defeat, Izuku drops to his knees and looks down to the ground and lets go for the broken tool. With nothing left to do, he puts up his wrist to inspect the device. He saw that there were no buttons on the device nor a clock on it. What kind of watch is this? It doesn't even show the time, though Izuku as he continues to inspect and analyzing it. He then puts his fingers on the faceplate to feel what metal was used for it. As he places his finger on the faceplate, a green circle appeared out of nowhere just above the faceplate, causing Izuku to jump and remove his finger from the faceplate. As soon as he did that, the green circle disappeared as fast as it appeared. Izuku starts to put 2 and 2 together, but what's to test his theory out first. He slowly puts 2 fingers on the faceplate and the green circle returned in front of him again. So that how you turn it on, thought Izuku as his theory was proven right. He stares at the circle and sees an image of a face of some life form with fire on its head. He removes his fingers from the faceplate to have a closer look at the image. But when his fingers left the faceplate, the circle disappeared, but to his shock, the faceplate slid back and revealed a round button inside the device with its faceplate having the same hourglass but green. Izuku looks around to see if anyone was around, but no one was nearby and looks back to his wrist. He slowly places his right hand on the device and his eyes wide before gently pushes the device, and then he was blinded by a bright green light and he felt something strange climbing up his arm. Red rocks suddenly appeared from the watch and soon hides the watch as the rocks continue to climb up Izuku's arm and still spread over his body under his t-shirt. The rocks make it to his face as they circle his left eye as he looks at what's happening to him. He closes his eyes as the rocks finish spreading, and instead for Izuku, we see a figure whose body is composed of a bright yellow inner magma body covered by a dark red or brown rocks. His hands were huge and were manga itself. His face had 2 magma lines going from his eyes, which his cheeks had his freckles from his human form. His head was ignited by a continuous flame starting from his neck and ending on the top of his head. His feet have a slight oval-like design with only 2 toes and 1 back toe. On his chest was a green faceplate which was green. He looks at his body and then, "Ah!" he screams. "Ah! I'm on fire! I'm on fire! Ah!" This figure, who appears to be Izuku, starts to panic and run around back and forth, but after a few seconds, he realizes something. He's not feeling pain. "Hey! I'm on fire, and I'm okay," said Midoriya as he starts to check out his transformed body. "Oh wow! Check it out! I'm totally hot. He laughs at the funny joke to himself a bit and starts to look around and sees a bunch of trash that he still needs to remove from the beach and an idea pop in his head as he turns his body around to face the trash. Oh yeah, as he grins and points one finger to the trash. Here goes. As he finishes saying that, a fireball comes out of his finger and hits the trash, causing it to explode on impact. Oh yeah. Now that's what I'm talking about. I wonder if smash. Izuku was speaking about what else can he do, but was interrupted by a smash which he barely dodged. All Might. I came back to investigate that crash, but I see this fire villain in front of me. Wait, are those young Midoriya's shoes? Thought All Might as he sees Izuku's red sneakers on the sand near him. Where is the boy, you bastard? Tell me where he is, shouted All Might as he tries to pry info on to where his successor is from the fire alien. What are you talking about? I'm right here, don't you dare lie to me, you bastard. Tell me, what have you done to him? Again shouted All Might, now trying to smash the villain into submission. Great. He's hellbent on finding me even though I'm right in front of him. I got to tell him that it's me before he kills me, thought Izuku as he was running for his young life with an enraged All Might close behind. Then he got an idea. I hope this works. Izuku stops and turns around to face his idol/mentor/ soon-to-be predecessor. I know that your quirk was passed on to you, shouted Izuku to All Might, who stopped and froze in shock that the fire villain in front of him knew about one of all, and how did he know that he was passed on to him? Still frozen by the shock, All Might asked nervously. How do you know that? Izuku, seeing that his plan worked, sighs in relief that he gets to live another day, sits down on the ground as running away from the number one hero can be tiring. Because you told me about it, All Might, said Izuku. Now that got All Might to start thinking, cause the only ones he's told one of all to anyone are Gran Torino. The staff at UA expect Eraserhead, who is on a mission and tries to avoid All Might at all costs, Sir Night Eye and young Midor. All Might stopped thinking when he noticed that the fire thing in front of him has freckles on its face just like young Midoriya has. Young Midoriya? Is that you? Asked All Might with pure curiosity. Yes, you idiot, it's me, Sai, said Izuku, who was relieved that he'll live for another day. But how, young Midoriya? You said that you're quirkless. Has your quirk finally manifested and you transformed into this fire form? Asked All Might, who transformed back to his regular form to save some time for tomorrow. I don't know, Toshi-sensei. I'm busy walking on the beach thinking of the future of the next month and thinking on what to do of the exams, when all for a sudden I saw a shooting star, but that it comes straight at me and nearly kills me. I thought that it was a satellite or something, but it wasn't a meteor or a satellite, but a metal ball with a cool but strange-looking watch in it, but that before I could get away the watch jumps from the pod and attaches itself on my wrist. I tried to get it of me, but I kind of turned it on and did something which resulted into this. Izuku finished explaining to Toshinori, who was processing this new information, but before he could say anything a beeping sound was heard by the student-master duo, and the two saw that the device on Izuku's chest on flashing red. Beep, 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 boo. And a red light consumed the area when the duo, causing both of them to close their eyes because blinding light. Toshinori quickly got over his blindness to see why that happened, but was shocked to see that Izuku had returned to his regular form with the watch still on his wrist but was red instead of green. Hey! Me again, said a happy Izuku, glad to be back to his human self again. Hee, I can see that, said Toshinori, clucking a little, and was glad that his successor was okay, but his thoughts halted when he saw the Omnitrix on Izuku's wrist. Hey, young Midoriya? Yeah. What happened between the time the crash and the time I got here? I went to investigate the crash site and saw the watch. Toshi nods. I then fell into the hole and got hurt. Toshi nods and laughs a bit. I then saw the pod open and the watch glowed. Little Toshi nods, and that it said some about Tennyson DNA and something about DNA lock or something like that. Izuku trying come up with an explanation onto why this watch jumped onto his wrist and why won't it come off. Toshinori starts to think that watch might have a purpose into why it's here. Let's go to the pod and I'll go to U.A to put the pod there, and tomorrow we'll go to UA so we can get answers from the watch. We better go before the police arrives and start ask questions we can't answer, said Toshinori, who got a nod from his successor agreeing with what he said. Both of them went to the crater and picked up the pod, which was surprisingly light, and loaded it onto Toshi's truck before driving off to Midoriya's place so that the boy can rest. Midoriya residence. Inko was busy fixing dinner for her and her son when she got a phone call, and when she picked it up she was surprised to hear that one of her family members from the States was calling her about UA. Oh, it's so good to talk to you. It's been years since we last spoke. How's life treating you, Sarah? Said Inko, A/N. I could find the names of the girl that is related to Izuku by law, so I made up a few. Oh, it's well, the job is stressful. We arrested illegal weapon smugglers, and we received word that the package is missing, said the voice on the other line, and Inko froze from what she said. The package, the most important device in the Omniverse, went missing. How? Said Inko, shocked at the news. Apparently he tried to take it by force. Back his plan exploded back at him. Literally, the blast from the cargo ship caused Vilgax's ship to take massive damage. We think he took damage himself before destroying the remains for the cargo ship before they ejected the Omnitrix from it to Earth. We heard that it'll be a while before he gets back on his feet. We're currently looking for it, as its last location was near the East Sea. We need you, Inko, said the voice on the phone as Inko was thinking about it. All right, I'll help, but I need your daughter to come here. I need her to come here to live and protect Izuku, because I think that Izuku would be in trouble if we're not care, especially at UA, said Inko with a serious tone on her voice. All right, I'll tell that she going to Japan to study at UA and live with you guys. I think she'd be happy to see her little brother again, said the voice, giggling a little at how the two kids spent their time together. Even Inko giggled a little. Okay, well, I got to go back in cooking. I'll talk to you later, Sarah, said Inko. Yeah, talk to you later, Inko, said Sarah as the call cuts with Inko putting the phone down and staring at the pots on the stove in deep thoughts. Vilgax, you've returned, huh? I'll make you pay for what you did to Hisashi all those years ago, thought Inko as she remembers the horrible events that happened all those years ago. She was in so deep in her world that she didn't hear the door open until she was brought back when she heard, "Nam, I'm home." Her son had returned safe and sound. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" said Inko as she stopped saying what she was saying to see Izuku, but she was in shock to see what was on Izuku's left wrist. Mom, are you okay?" asked Izuku as he saw that his mom was in a state of shock. I am fine, sweetie. How are you?" yelled Inko in panicky voice, and Izuku took a step back because he wasn't ready for that. "I am fine, Mom. I just need to go and take a shower, that's all," said Izuku with a little fear in his voice as he was scared of how his mom was acting. "Oh, okay, sweetie, you go and shower and I'll get dinner ready," said Inko, finally claiming down, and with Izuku nodding before heading to the shower, leaving Inko in her deep world again. Izuku has the Omnitrix. Izuku has the Omnitrix. Well, I guess that makes the search easier, but how did he get it? I leave it at that for now, but I'll ask him on how did he get it after he's done training with All Might tomorrow, thought Inko as she went back to cooking before having one more. Well, out of everyone on the planet, Izuku is the best chose of it. Maybe he'll use as his quirk to become a hero. And maybe it'll help him to beat him, thought Inko with some venom in her thoughts. Space. The aftermath of the battle between the two ships was horrible, as both ships suffered damages to them, as one was completely destroyed, while one suffered a damaged core and control room. In the big ship, in a medical bay, a large cylinder tube was in the middle of it with what was the remains of the humanoid squid was inside of the tube with tubes and nanites busy repairing. A robot lieutenant came into the bay to report that the package was not on board the ship. "What do you mean it's not there? This battle nearly costs me my life, and you say the Omnitrix is no longer aboard the transport?" shouted the squid in the tube with a mask on its mouth to allow it to breathe. "Signors indicate a probe was jettisoned from the ship just before boarding. It landed on the planet below," said the robot. "Go. Bring it to me," said the squid. "We can't. The planet is inhabited by beings with supernatural powers. Their heroes will just destroy the robot before they can locate the Omnitrix," said the robot lieutenant as he tries to reason his leader. "Fine. We wait until I'm in better condition, and then I'll retrieve it myself," said the squid as the healing tube closes to continue to heal him. Bellwood, NYC, USA. A teenage girl was in her room giggling like crazy as her mom just told her that she'll go to Japan to go and be a hero at UA High, and not only that, but she'll live with her distant cousin Izuku. "Oh, I can't wait to see my little brother again. Oh, the fun we'll have together," said the girl in an excited tone. And that's a wrap on part 1. A huge shout out to the author. Don't forget to show your support. I'll be back soon. Thanks for tuning in.